Yes, yes, the Casanovians. Yes, yes, the Casanovians. The spot's going down nicely. I just had a brutal Muay Thai session, so I've still got the shorts on. They're slightly out of view. Uh, uh, there we go. Look at that leg. Alright, lads, strap yourselves in like a lemur on acid, because things are about to get sporadically splendid. I've got so much to talk about in this stream, so we might go on for a long time, but I think that's cool because I think you just get more value from me, which I think is nice. So yeah, welcome. If you're completely new here, my name's Kristian. I'm not a dating coach. I'm not a day gamer. I'm not a pickup artist. I think all of these labels are cringy. The label I like to use is freedom from bullshit practitioner. I believe in liberation through action. I think the modern man today has severely lost his balls. I think most men are frustrated because they currently lack love from the feminine and they don't have a viable vehicle to bring beautiful women into their lives. Yeah, that's what it was for me 4 years ago, back when I was living in my grotty apartment in central Leeds and I had no money. I looked like a turnip, couldn't get a boner, i.e. an erection with new women because I was addicted to porn. I always felt invisible. I always felt like a social outcast. I always felt as though I didn't really fit in. And in 2020, I stumbled across this thing called daytime call approach. And it was just something that spoke to my soul. You know, I was sick of dating apps. I was sick of grotty nightclubs. I mean, they weren't open anyway during the pandemic. I couldn't get women through my social circle because I had no friends and I didn't want to be DMing women like a little simp. So I took it upon myself to go out during the pandemic and learn the skill of daytime call approach. And I would like to think if you follow my content religiously, then you understand by now all of this goes deeper than day game. Yeah, it goes deeper than just going out there and talking to girls, hoping to get your notch count up. I mean, for some guys, that's what they want. And if that's what you want, fair fucking play to you. But for me, I view this discipline of cold approach as the most aggressive form of self-development. I do believe day game is a discipline that takes us closer to the divine. Because that's what, for me, that's what all religion should be. All religion should simply be a bridge that takes us closer to the divine. And you'll know it yourself. When you've been out there in the field, especially if you're doing it solo, and you know, you've just hit it hard. You've done 10 approaches. Some went shit. Maybe the first 3 were absolute car crashes. Maybe you let a few opportunities slide by and that really pissed you off and it lit a fire up your ass to do more. And then you were just like out there in the field. Maybe it was a super hot day. You're getting sweaty and then that final approach with an absolute worldie, you get the number close, you feel amazing, and you're just riding on this thing that I call godly frequency, where everything just feels right with the world. It's like doing your best gym session or your best martial arts session, or like just having a freezing cold ice bath. Like you just feel like the guy, yeah? And when I say to you boys, this is the most aggressive form of self-development, what I'm addicted to, what I'm really obsessed about is who we're all becoming through this process. We were having this conversation yesterday on our Entourage weekly group coaching call. So the Entourage is my private community for guys who want to level up, whether you are completely new to cold approach, whether you consider yourself an intermediate, a seasoned player, some sensei of seduction. The Entourage brings the best guys together and we can all level up as one. So every week we have a group coaching call every Sunday. We have one on Tuesday as well. The Tuesday call is for business because we've got guys in our network who they don't just want to level up with cold approach. They want to make more money. They want to unlock an international lifestyle. We've got guys who've, because of the skills they've learned through daytime call approach, they've left their 9-to-5 job. They're now working in higher paid vocations. We've got guys who are starting their own YouTube channels, starting their own businesses, all because of the person who they've become through this skill set. And we were speaking yesterday, and one of our guys who's recently started a new business and he's leveraging a YouTube channel, he was just saying to us that the confidence that he's developed through the discipline of day game, he made a really poignant point whereby he said everything essentially is the approach, right? Because if you think about it, the approach, yeah, just like walking over, big set of balls, stone cold sober during the daytime, despite the doubt, despite the fear, despite the hesitation, that is, in my opinion, a metaphor for everything else that you want to do. Whether it is leaving your 9 to 5 job, whether it is training, going to your first martial arts session, whether it's starting that business, posting that first piece of content on social media, all of these things are related. And I think all the time we are bypassing our own bullshit and overcoming the noise from the voice in our head. Yeah, that voice in your head, it's lying to you. And you know the voice that I'm talking about, like that voice that tells you you're not good enough, that voice that cripples you with imposter syndrome. Why would a woman like her ever want a guy like you? Stay in your lane, bro. Oh, why would I be able to start a YouTube channel? Why would I be able to start a business? Why would I be able to leave my 9 to 5 job? Because I understand now, belief follows action. And because, as we were discussing on our Entourage group coaching call yesterday, everything essentially comes down to that approach. Everything essentially comes down to your ability to just say fuck it. Yeah, to just say fuck it and lean in to that resistance, to use the resistance as our compass. And I think once we've got this mindset, for me anyway, cold approach became more enjoyable, it became more fun, and also it became more fulfilling, because when I was going out there, I understood it wasn't just about the women, it was about me facing myself, me facing my fears, me bypassing all of the bullshit that had held me back my entire life. And yeah, 4 years later, I mean, you can go back and watch the earliest videos on my channel and you can see the character development for yourself. And as we were speaking on the Entourage group coaching call yesterday, this notion of guilt came into my mind. I think it's quite an important topic, directly linked to cold approach. I do think that when we're going out there, it is us versus us, right? We're going out there to overcome the resistance which has historically held us back. And yeah, sometimes you go out there and you do let opportunity slide. It might be the first approach of the day. You just left your house. You weren't expecting sexy Susie to walk past you, and you don't approach her, and then you get stuck in your head. You end up replaying the moment. Maybe you replay other times where you have taken the action, and then you get even further stuck in your head thinking, am I losing the skill? Am I digressing? Am I not as good as I used to be? And that approach sticks in your head, and you almost carry it around for the rest of the day like a trophy of shame, and it impinges on all of your other approaches. So something that I've found to be useful, and this has come from studying the book Reality Transurfing, which I get the guys in our private network, the Entourage, to read and to study. Guilt is such a low frequency emotion, and guilt can ruin a man. Yeah. So if you've not done an approach, let's say you've pussied out, you didn't do that approach, or let's say you told yourself you were going to go to the Muay Thai gym and fear got the better of you and you didn't go, and now you're feeling guilty. Or maybe you said, I'm going to do that last set of shoulder press at the gym, but you didn't do it and now you feel guilty. Or maybe you're on a date with a girl and you didn't go for the kiss, and you are replaying that moment time and time again in your head thinking, I must be an unlovable piece of shit. Why couldn't I pull the trigger? Why didn't I take action? And if you're not careful, these guilt-soaked events start to castrate you of your confidence. So honestly, the best piece of advice I can give to this, apart from just do it, bro, just take action. Like, yeah, I get that, but even the best of us, right, myself included, we let opportunities slide. Right? I used to do it all of the time when I was learning the skill, even when I got more advanced in the skill, even when I started coaching the skill. I would say to my guys all the time during our one-to-one, in-person immersion experiences, hey, dude, listen, I'm no different to you, right? All the stuff that you see of me online on YouTube, that's amazing, but don't think that I'm some demigod. Don't think that I've got it all figured out. Don't think that because the world perceives me as a coach, that I'm some impenetrable expert. No, I've got my own doubts. I've got my own fears. I've got my own insecurities. I grapple with the avalanche of anxiety. Some days I get bombarded by my own bullshit. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And there are going to be times in our masculine journey that we do just fuck up. We do bail on ourselves. We do break promises to ourselves. We know that we could have approached that girl, but we gave in to fear. Maybe it was a fear of the unknown, the fear of what other people might have thought of us, the fear of fucking up, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of coming across in a certain way. All that is normal. And I think one of my greatest superpowers when I was learning the skill of cold approach, and certainly something that I pass on to my students when we're working together in the field, is this notion of humor. Yeah, not taking yourself or the moment or the girl or the situation too seriously. This is not license to be lazy, it's permission to be free. Okay? It's not license to be lazy, it's permission to be free. So let's say you go out today and you do 10 direct approaches, but you bailed on 3 of them, right? Well, you still did 10 direct approaches, right? And that's amazing. So celebrate those wins and remind yourself you're not a robot. And again, it's a nuanced, fine line, because you don't want to go out there and let every single opportunity go by and be like, well, I wasn't really feeling it, or I'll get the next one, whatever excuse you give yourself. So you do need to be strict on yourself, but I think you need to have the energy of the mother and the father. Yeah. So not being some like crushingly cruel commentator of yourself. So let's say you miss an approach. Let's say first approach of the day, you miss it. Laugh it off, right? Literally be your own coach. Talk to yourself like you actually matter. Just like, right, Kristian, we could have gone in for that one. This is literally how I used to talk to myself. Like, Kristian, you're being a pussy today. We're not doing this today. The next one, you're going to get it, right? You're going to get the next one. And by actually talking to myself in this jovial, light-hearted way, I prevented myself going into this uber serious mode where every miss was perceived as a loss. And in fact, something that one of our Entourage members brought up, which I thought was super useful, because everybody's got their own way of perceiving the game, right? There's no rules to any of this stuff. The things that I relay on these live streams, these are just things that have worked for me. They're things that have worked for my clients. You might go out there into the field and you might have a completely different experience. So there's no rules to any of this stuff. But one of our Entourage members said, sometimes when he's out there in the field, he actually needs to miss before he gets the motivation to approach. So some days he'll go out after a cognitive, logical day at work and he sees sexy Susie swarm past him. And because he's not got himself out of cognitive work mode yet, he doesn't approach her. But the miss gives him the motivation to get the next one. It's like he gets pissed off with himself that he missed a great opportunity. That then is the cold slap in the face or the fire up his arse to be like, right, we're not letting this happen again. Yeah. So everything works. You might be more motivated by the darker side of human emotion. I know I'm one of those person. Like, I don't really get motivated by these flowery notions of love and singing Kumbaya. My motivation has always come from anxiety, depression, shame, quite honestly. Like when I was in Leeds and I was ruminating in my own egoic self-absorption, when I was looking around at my life, the job that I was working, the city that I was living, the money that I was making, I looked at myself in the mirror most days and I was like, what are we doing, Kristian? And I was speaking to my mum the other day and she said to me, wow, like in the space of 2 years, like honestly, just like look at what you've achieved, right? In the space of 2 years, like I went full time on this coaching business in June 2022. And she was like, I remember when you were stacking shelves in Iceland supermarket. I remember when you were cleaning lemur shit off the toilets in South Lake Safari Zoo. I remember when you were working at Haven Caravan Park on the checkout. And I remember when you were working in that National Railway Museum and you were living in your cockroach-infected apartment in City Space in the centre of Leeds. And she was like, what changed? I remember saying to her, I was like, do you know what, Mum? Where I was back then was exactly where I deserved to be. I think that's quite difficult for a lot of us to accept. But I've always been someone that whatever my situation is, it's my fault. Yeah, I take radical responsibility and I take radical responsibility, and that's the way that I like my clients to operate as well. We take radical responsibility. Where we are right now is exactly where we deserve to be. Whether it's a inefficiency in your skill level, your knowledge level, your character trait, or your belief system, where you are right now is exactly where you deserve to be. And when I understood that, that gave me the fuel, the motivation, and the drive, because I knew that no one was coming to save me. I knew what I deserved in my life at that point was to be living in the grotty apartment, to be a porn addict, to have erectile dysfunction. I wasn't disciplined enough. I wasn't putting the reps in. I was flooded by doubt, but rather than getting motivated and fueled by it, I was a victim. I was playing the victim. Oh, woe is me. Oh, I went to university. I got a great degree. I should be in a better job than this. And it's like, no one gives a fuck, Kristian. No one gives a fuck what you think you deserve. You've got what you actually deserve. So as soon as I shifted, then things started to change. I had a clear idea of what I wanted. I aligned my actions with my ambitions, and I worked like a savage until I got where I got to today. Like I remember commuting on the train from Leeds to York. I remember reading all of the books that I could get my hands on. I didn't have a lot of money, so I'd go onto YouTube and try and scrounge the free audiobooks and listen to it on double speed. And I was just consuming as many like self-improvement business books that I could lay my hands on, because I knew that one day this would be the life that I was living, like living the international lifestyle, having an amazing girlfriend, inspiring, changing people's lives for a living, having this community, becoming the best in the world at what I do. Like, I had this vision for myself, yeah? And I think if there's one thing that I can share with you, know where you're going. Yeah, you wouldn't just get on a plane and be like, where's this going? Right? You've got your destination in mind, then you just pick the vehicle that's going to get you there. That's quite a digression, but I think it's useful because it's all related. Yeah, the way you approach that girl, the way you perceive yourself, the way you show up in the gym, at the martial arts class, it's all related. But I think this notion of guilt is something that we need to do our best to alleviate in the moment. I just think having humor, it helps when you've got guys around you. Like, what our guys inside the Entourage find useful is we've got a private WhatsApp accountability group. So whenever our guys are out there in the field, if they are starting to get stuck in their own heads, they know it's like having wingmen in their pocket. They don't even need to be together in person. Just the knowing that they've got guys on the other end of the phone who can be in their corner, hold them accountable, and also help to normalize the process as well. We had two guys the other night who actually went on a virtual night out together. So they both went out in different European cities, and they were winging each other. Like, one of our guys approached a group of two girls, and he had another one of our Entourage guys on the phone, and they were having this virtual conversation. So like two girls in person, one of our guys with the girls, and then the other guy on the phone. Like, this creativity, I think, is what the game needs, because by doing that, by just having this nonsensical wing session, like, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend, it snaps you out of your head. It snaps you out of serious logical mode. And these two guys had one of the best nights out ever. They were just laughing through the night game session. So I think find ways that you can make cold approach more fun for yourself. Yeah, I think if you can make cold approach so fun, it's difficult for you to be inconsistent. That's when you win. Yeah, so maybe it's gamifying the process. So if you've got a wing who you can go out with in your city, a really cool exercise that you can do is, so what I like to get guys to do is do the hardest approach first, right? So obviously difficulty is subjective. What's difficult for me might not be difficult for you, or what's difficult for you might not be difficult for me. But if you go out with a wing and you say to each other, right, Harry, we're going to do the hardest approach first, and make a pact beforehand. Like, say to Harry what your hardest approach is. So it might be a girl who's with her friend. It might be a girl who's with her mum. It might be a girl who's sat inside of a Starbucks. It might be a girl who's walking really fast, a girl who's got her headphones in. Whatever you deem to be your hardest approach. And then if either of you pussies out, you have to give the other one a certain numerical value. So 20 quid. Yeah, and then it just keeps it spicy. It makes it fun, right? It's like you're not going out there for the girl, you're going out there for the challenge. And it's like, if you've got your boy with you, it just makes it fun. Honestly, like, some of the best cold approach sessions that I've ever had are when I've just been belly laughing my way through it. I remember we had an in-person meetup inside the Entourage in Manchester last year. Dude, it was just funny. We ended up going into Poundland in the UK for all of our American viewers. Poundland is basically where you can get every item for £1 or $1 or less. However, they've changed it now. Poundland is starting to just lie to us. Now, things are just not £1 anymore. The last time I checked, there was things in there for like £4.50. And I'm like, sorry, Poundland, this isn't what your marketing implies. Anyway, we went into Poundland and we were just approaching just like random women. Just like, oh, I just saw you. You look nice with your oversized bottle of Coke. It was just so funny. But like, this is what I'm talking about. If we can just inject more humor into this thing, then your results will go through the roof, right? The girl's your mirror. She'll feel what you feel. Internal state is external reality. When I was learning this skill, I was looking at other, we'll call them coaches. I was looking at other people who were teaching in this space. And it was all just so fucking boring. It was like all militant, like guy just sat in this weird little room with a light behind him, like, right, we must go out, we must vibe, stack, hook, we must neg. Does anybody neg anymore? And it was like so militant and so serious and so logical. I'm like, I don't resonate with any of these fuckers. Like, I don't see why this needs to be so stressful. One of our other guys in the Entourage, Joseph, he made a really great point once when he said, what can happen to guys if you're not careful? If you're doing this on your own and you're just like trying to slog your way through the conversations, if you're not careful, you can start to perceive women as stressful rather than pleasurable, right? It's like because you hype up or because you develop so much stress towards the approach, like maybe you have to do some like, I don't know, high octane routine before you go out there. Maybe you have to really psych yourself up to get yourself into the zone. It's like, it almost creates so much resistance in your mind that you can just start viewing women as these points of stress rather than these points of pleasure, yeah? So if every time you see a woman now, if you feel an obligation to approach rather than a genuine desire, like, I want to go over here because I just like the way that this woman walks or this woman looks, and like, yeah, this would be cool. Or it's like, are you going over there? And it's like, oh fuck, another approach. Oh, it's starting to feel like a chore now. So I think if we can inject more playfulness, more humor into the whole thing, then that's when things start to feel a lot better, for me anyway. And just remind yourself as well, all this comes down to is just talking to people, right? I don't think that we need to categorize cold approach and talking to people as two different buckets, yeah? If you want to make this skill something you are rather than something that you do, you just talk to everybody. Right? Cold approach doesn't need to feel like cold approach. It can just feel like, oh, this is like going for a piss or drinking a glass of water. It's just part of my daily life now, viewing it more as a social sport. And I actually love leaving the house with that mindset. Like genuinely just going out there to leave the world better than I found it. Like women are awesome. Yeah, women are fucking amazing. I think oftentimes, especially if you get too buried deep in the pickup or red pill or black pill space, it becomes this battle of the sexes, us versus them, right? But it's like, if you can just see women, like the thing that I used to say to myself all the time was, if I saw a really beautiful woman and before my mind could even jump in and give me an excuse not to approach, I used to just say yes to myself. But I used to say it in a way internally that got me excited, or I would actually say awesome, right? So let's say I just catch a glance of a woman coming towards me. Immediately, I just train myself to have this anchor word in my mind. I'd be like, oh, yes, like that. Like, it sounds cringy when I say it out loud, but it works. Because what that did is it turned me seeing a woman into something I got excited about rather than something that I feared. And then as soon as I said that word to myself, I just let my legs carry me. That's genuinely the best piece of advice that I can give you if you're someone who is adamant that you can't annihilate your approach anxiety and you think you need to buy some $997 approach anxiety annihilator cord. You actually don't need any of that stuff. You can literally just say to yourself, yes, or awesome, or fuck it. And then as soon as you said that word, just let your legs start carrying you, right? Because as soon as you're in motion, you won't feel the anxiety as fierce, right? It's the avoidance which amplifies your anxiety. Action alleviates it. Write that down. That's a banger. So when we can make this more fun, and we've got these tools and systems in place, so maybe you go out with your wing and you gamify, you say each other challenges, you see a beautiful girl, rather than perceiving her as this object of stress, you can perceive it as an object of pleasure, of fun, of, oh, this is going to be so nice. And I think sometimes it is easy to be severely outcome dependent. And I do understand that. Like, you might be in a place in your life right now where you've got no leads in your phone. Yeah, you might be in a dry spell and you just do find yourself being more needy. And I've certainly gone through cycles of this, but hopefully you've already got to a point in, we'll just call it your cold approach career, where you've already demonstrated to yourself that you can get results. And this has always been the thing that has got me through difficult periods in relationships and business, right? Some months in my business, especially when I was first starting, I didn't make any money, right? I would just have months where I did not make any money whatsoever. And I was just relying on the money or the savings that I had, like the money that I made the previous month. And the thing that always kept me going, always, was the knowing that I could have. Yeah, I left my 9-to-5 job and I had £3,000 in my bank account. £3,000 in my bank account, which is fucking pathetic. But I had optimism in the absence of certainty. I knew that me taking the action to just say fuck it, hand in my notice, I knew that that was my way of saying to the universe, I'm serious about going all in with this business. Optimism in the absence of certainty is my definition of confidence, right? Socrates said the beginning of wisdom is a definition of terms. A lot of people will tell you, just be confident, bro. They can't define what that term actually is. It's optimism in the absence of certainty. And I think that the optimism that I had was indicative of my past accomplishments, right? I knew that I could make money. I knew that I could get women. So whenever you are in these dry spells, dry spell with the feminine or dry spell with your finances, especially if you're a business owner right now, you've most likely had positive results in the past. And if you know internally that you can replicate those, so like if you're in a dry spell right now, and let's say you've got no women in your life, you've got no leads in your phone, you're starting to feel needy, remind yourself of all of the amazing experiences that you've had. Yeah, even if it was just you going over to a woman and getting a smile, if you're completely new to this. But if you're more advanced, then just literally remind yourself of the dates that you've had, the women that you've closed, the magical girlfriend experiences that you've had, and remind yourself you are only ever one approach away from everything changing. Always, right? You are one client away from your business exploding. You are one woman away from meeting the future mother of your children. And when you recognize, realistically, you only need one. Yeah, if you've got to a stage in your life, most of the guys in my community, most of the gentlemen that I work with personally, they're over the age of 35. And when they've got to this position in their life, yeah, they might be looking to play the field for a little bit. Like once they've actually got this skill down, oh great, now I can approach, now I can get dates. They might want to make up for lost time. But when I have these heart-to-heart conversations, when it's just me and the guy, no bullshit, devoid of distractions, most guys just want girlfriends. Yeah, most guys just want to be wanted. They want to have a best friend that they can do life with. And I think that's a beautiful, magical, noble goal to have. And I think there's a lot of noise in this whole dating sphere. Like, oh, a high value man, you must get your notch count up. You have to sleep with as many women as possible. I think the whole of society is severely over sexualized. And for me personally, I'm at a point in my life now where I believe in the sacred communion between the masculine and the feminine. And like I said at the start, most men are frustrated because they currently lack love from the feminine. I think a lot of guys put on this bravado, like, yeah, I just want to get through as many women as possible. But like deep down, and you probably know it yourself, like you just want to be wanted. Yeah, you want to receive love from the feminine. You want to have that best friend in your life, that woman who adores you, that woman who looks at you like you are God's gift to the world. And I think if you want to have an abundant dating life, you actually only need two. Like, you actually only need two women who are fighting over you, and you then feel like a rock star. Then you feel abundant, yeah? So if you're in a dry spell right now, just remind yourself of that. You only need one. Remind yourself of your past victories. Remind yourself of all the obstacles as well that you've overcome in your life. Yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, just look at everything you've had to do to get to where you are today. All of the obstacles, all of the challenges, all of the inevitable vicissitudes that come along with running your own thing. Yeah, look at how far you've come with the skill. Look at how far you've come in the game of life. And because you've done it in the past, you will be able to do it again. Yeah, so just remind yourself of that stuff. Hype yourself up more. Don't be such a crushingly cruel commentator. Cold approach is hard enough as it is. It doesn't need you to put or inflict so much psychological pain. So I think we started this original thread about 33 and a half minutes ago talking about the notion of guilt. Yeah. So if you go out there today and you do let a few opportunities go, maybe you're like one of our Entourage guys where you actually get motivated by the fuck ups, or maybe you're not. And this is why I say to people, when you are learning the skill on your own, set a time limit and set a number of approaches. So 3 direct cold approaches, that is you going over to a woman who you don't know and giving her a compliment, like, hey, you look amazing, you look great, you look incredible. I would have regretted not coming over here and saying that. I hope you have a splendid day. Do that 3 times within 30 minutes. Once the time limit's finished, forget about it. Get on with the rest of your day. I would say, honestly, if you're going out there on your own and you've never done this before, if you've let 3 opportunities slide, think of it like playing a video game. Yeah, once you've lost 3 lives, it's game over. I do think if you're learning this on your own and you are a solo operator at the moment, I think if you've been walking around and you've already let 3 great opportunities slide, I do think it's better off scrapping that session for the day. Commend yourself for actually going out there and trying to do it, because most guys are not even trying, right? Your competition are not trying. Most guys are not watching this content. Before that, most guys don't even know this content exists. Like, most guys are so brainwashed by mediocrity that all their lives consist of is go to work, Netflix, wank, repeat for the next 75 years. I made a point the other day that most men live the same year 75 times and call it a life. Yeah, most men live the same year 75 times and call it a life. Yeah, most people are sleepwalking their way through life, and they will wake up when their best years are behind them. So if you're watching these videos, if you are consuming this content, and dude, even if you're going out there into the field and you are attempting, maybe you've already got a few results here and there, then I just think that's fucking awesome. I think the world needs more action takers. The world needs more radically ambitious Renaissance men who refuse to dance to the music of the masses, who are not constrained by the shackles of society. And I do think daytime cold approach is a 2 middle finger salute to a society that wants to keep you castrated. Oh, be a good boy, ask for permission when you're allowed to go for a shit. It's like, nah, fuck that. I want to evolve. I want it all. I want the women. I want the lifestyle. I want the money. I want to be able to do the things that I want rather than settling for the things that I think I can get. So yeah, if you're going out there, you're watching this content, you're not normal. And I fucking like you for that, because I'm not normal either. I think I'm a little bit messed up in the head in some ways. I think you have to be slightly unhinged to want to get started with this. You know, I think you do. Like, I was jumping out of planes at 18 years old. At 13 years old, I became a magician. I'm doing Muay Thai here in Bangkok. I've made a career out of daytime cold approach, and I don't believe that I am a dating coach. I just think I was a guy that wanted more from his life than what was on offer to him. And yeah, I feel as though I'm only just getting started. I turned 28 yesterday, so that's nice. Thank you all as well for the birthday wishes. I honestly just want to say, before we switch off, feel free to leave. I honestly just want to say just a massive thank you to everybody who watches these videos. I don't think I say it enough. Sometimes I go on these like megalomania rants and esoteric points that I think sometimes I actually forget to celebrate people. So for a lot of us, right, like you who's watching right now, I'm breaking the fourth wall here. I'm talking to you directly. I might not know who you are. We might have never had a conversation. We've probably never met in person before, but I really hope that this content is finding you well. Like, I hope that anything that I've said resonates with you, and I hope it forces you to think differently, live courageously, and not to be another one of the mind-dead masses who sleepwalks through life. So yeah, I just want to celebrate everybody. I honestly think that we've got an incredible community of radically ambitious men over this side, and yeah, honestly, I just love you all. this channel wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for you people. So yeah, just wanted to say thanks. It's just really nice. So yeah, that I think we'll leave it there, lads. If you've enjoyed this stream, then that's cool. So yeah, I was gonna try and finish off with something like poetic, but nah, I couldn't think of anything. All right, bye.